But yeah, I mean, I'm expecting gold to perform very well for the next few years. We're on pace to, I did the calculation a few days ago, but over 30%, get over a 30% return this year in gold, might be 35%, which is basically going to be its best annual return since 1979.
You're listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, where you get valuable information you just can't find anywhere else. To thrive in today's trying times, you need the Financial Survival Network, now more than ever. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and get your free newsletter and gift. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.
And welcome. You are listening to and watching the Financial Survival Network. I'm your host, Kerry Lutz. Another day, another record for gold. So why not go over to Alan Hibbard, goldsilver.com. Alan, great to have you back on the show. So when does the fun, is the fun going to pick up even more? Are we going to see higher highs, or are we going to get to a point where we're going to have a pullback? And if so, when do you think that's going to be?
Yeah. Hey, Kerry. Well, thanks for having me. Yeah, we are having fun already. I think there's more fun in store, certainly for anyone holding gold. And silver, another question that's probably going to pick up soon. It's very hard to put a timeline on that. But yeah, I mean, I'm expecting gold to perform very well for the next few years. We're on pace to, I did the calculation a few days ago, but over 30%, get over a 30% return this year in gold, might be 35%. Which is basically going to be its best annual return since 1979. And in that year, it more than doubled. It had over a 100% return in 1979. So gold is performing very well, and it doesn't look like we're at the end of the bull market yet. And of course, this is all coming from tremendous global uncertainty. Like you can name just about any country on the planet, and it has some form of crisis or more than one. So I think it's going to continue. Very hard to put a price on the stopping point or a date for that matter, but I think we got a few more years and a lot of percentages to go.
All right, so let's talk about silver. The party is just getting started for silver. We broke $32. 35 seems to be the psychological number that we got to hit, and we got to stay above it. Monthly close over 30 looks like it's baked into the cake for September. When is the party getting started for silver?
Yeah, that's everybody's question. People have been wondering that for years. Unfortunately, it's been a tough stretch for silver holders. And remember, I'm sure anyone holding silver knows this, but the all-time high for silver is around $50, which has happened twice, in 1980 and then again in 2011. So, I mean, there's this tremendous energy built up in silver, this 44-year cup and handle pattern. And investors have been waiting, like, when am I going to see, nominal gains for that matter, for anyone who bought at the top, but certainly inflation adjusted real gains. I mean, there's just been so much pressure built up in the silver market. And I think it's coming very soon. For the last 3.5, almost 4 years now, we've had a structural deficit in the silver market. So the demand for silver for industrial uses and monetary uses has exceeded the available supply. So we're consuming more of the silver than we're digging up out of the ground. So since it's obviously a physical metal, eventually you run out of it. And as you get closer to running out of it, supply demand forces take over and you got to pay more for the silver that's left. So we're seeing that happening now. It is playing out. And of course, the percentage gains on silver are pretty impressive this year, around the same as gold, actually. So it is already taking off a little bit. It's just so far suppressed from its all-time highs that not many people are paying attention to it. But when it takes off like a rocket, people will. And that's coming soon.
So what's your target number for silver?
I try not to do target numbers, but they also have to be accompanied by a timeline, right? Otherwise, they're kind of meaningless. So, I mean, I could say, silver's going to $100, but the question is when. And I do think it will hit $100 eventually. But in order to triple from where we're at, boy, how long does that take? A few years.
Well, Eric Sprott says $300 silver, and I learned never bet against Eric Sprott, potentially the next Elon Musk. But in terms of total financial wealth, when all of these bets that he's made over the past several decades start to pay off, which I believe they will. But They always say, if you want to be a successful forecaster, you could predict what's going to happen, or you could predict when it's going to happen, but never do both of them together, because then you're going to be wrong, right?
Well, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it. And keep in mind that when we forecast these prices, I mean, we're making forecasts just as much about silver or gold as we are about the dollar itself. So it's as much a question as, how many dollars are they going to print? Are those dollars going to flood back into the financial markets, or are they going to sit on balance sheets? So yeah, I mean, it's a multifaceted question. And, if you're going to ask, like, should I own dollars or treasuries or silver or gold? I mean, I would, as I do, I own gold and silver and not so much of the other stuff. So that's sort of an easier decision, and that is just wait. Waiting, like the song goes, Tom Petty, the waiting is the hardest part, right? That's right.
And how long do you wait? And when do you sell? Because all markets, I don't care what they are, eventually they go, right? When they go parabolic, then eventually they're going to go down, right?
Yeah, exactly. So what's nice about gold in particular is it forms this really nice rounded bottom, and then it goes up like a rocket. And that's sort of the pattern that repeats. And those rounded bottoms can take, 20 years to play out, like it did from 1980 to 2000. But there is that sort of like nice predictable pattern to it. And when it does take up like a rocket, okay, that's the time you sell. I don't think we're quite there yet. I think we have a few more years. But the question is, when you sell, where do you put your capital? It's got to go somewhere. And so to answer that question, I like to look at the Dow Gold Ratio or similar ratios like that. And when the Dow Gold Ratio is really high, that means the Dow has overperformed. So that's the time to sort of get out of the Dow or get out of stocks in general and get into gold. And then when that ratio comes back down, that's gold outperforming the Dow or outperforming stocks in general. And when that ratio sort of bottoms or gets close, that's when you sell your gold and get back into stocks. So that's sort of the move I'm going to make. It takes, a decade or more for the ratio to move a single direction, and then a decade or more for it to move back. So you might be able to play it 2 or 3 times throughout your investing career. So that's my plan, at least right now. Maybe something will change, but that's when I sell, is when that ratio gets out of whack, and then sort of convert my capital from one to the other.
Okay, I'll buy it. All right. I remember a guest on the show, Biederman. I can't remember his first name. It might have been Charles Biederman. And he said that at the time, right now, silver is the worst investment in the world. But one day you're going to wake up and silver will be the best investment in the world. What do you think about that statement?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely how silver moves. It's extremely volatile. So if you held silver in the 1970s, that was the best performing asset, better than gold, no question. And gold did 25x. So silver was something like 40x. I think it moved from $1.29 to over $50, like $52.50. So whatever that is. So it was the clear winner for 10 years. But then if you held it for the next 44 years, you're still down. You're still down for 44 years. So you'd be kicking yourself. And I'd love to meet the people who have been holding for 44 years. And, what is their mindset? How do they still love it, or are they just, psychologically destroyed?
I think those people who've been holding for 44 years, probably they got buried with their silver. Literally.
Yeah, exactly. It's possible. So I think that statement is pretty good. I mean, it does sort of capture the essence of silver, that it has these absolute moonshot periods, and then you just want to get out and stay away from it. So I do expect something like that to happen soon. It's looking like a coiled spring right now. It's building a 44-year cup and handle. I think it's going to take off like a rocket, and then I'm going to sell, and who knows, maybe never buy silver again the rest of my life after that. And we'll see.
No, you'll be able to live off of your silver earnings, right?
That's right. Hopefully, yes.
All right. So what about platinum? I don't know how much you follow platinum, but if you're like me, you follow it at least a little bit. You got any thoughts about it? It is it's technically a precious metal. In fact, they call it one of the noble metals, like along with palladium, etc. So what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't follow it too much. I definitely stick to gold and silver more so than anything else. So I don't know if I could really offer up a great comment on that. So maybe I should just not say anything so as not to steer anyone in the wrong direction.
All right. Well, hey, I should just elucidate of the noble metals. There's a bunch you never heard of, like ruthenium, rhodium. We all know rhodium, and that one was like really high up there, and then it crashed. Silver is technically a noble metal. Palladium is. Platinum, they even call gold a noble metal, but it's not really. These are like noble white metals. Osmium, I don't even know what that is. Iridium. I mean, it's like crazy stuff here, but something to keep track of. I'm going to buy 1 ounce of platinum for the hell of it. But otherwise, you're looking at anything else, copper, nickel. I know you're into precious metals, but I'm just curious where your interests lead you.
Yeah, mostly I'm into the precious metals, so I don't spend a lot of time looking at the base metals or anything like that. Only from a macro perspective, not so much from an investment perspective. And it's sort of how I look at a lot of other markets. And a lot of my attention right now is focused on the monetary system and what central banks are doing, interest rates, a lot of fiscal moves by different governments. So yeah, I'm sort of looking at the global macro picture, making sure that my overall investment thesis isn't out of whack. And yeah, it just seems like there's a lot of tension building up in the markets. A lot of governments are just going to inflate their currencies to zero, try to spend their way out of their problems, even though most of their problems are caused by spending. So yeah, just sort of, what's that?
Well, you know what we call that? The cure is the disease.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So I don't think it's going to work. So yeah, it's just sort of, waiting for the election, waiting for, tensions in Europe and the Middle East to resolve some way, hopefully. Yeah, exactly. So that's the thing is I don't know what's going to happen. And I'm just sort of waiting until there's some kind of stability and some attractive place to put my capital, besides gold, silver, and Bitcoin, which is really all I have right now.
Hey, just remember every cruise missile that gets fired is 500 ounces of silver, or 500 grams rather, maybe 500 grams, 20 ounces. So good for precious metals, ballistic precious metals, giving new meaning to that term, right? Hey,
yeah. I mean, you don't want to root for that. Like that's the tough spot to be in. Is like, I know. As much as I want the value of my portfolio to go up, I don't want it to come at the cost of human suffering. And I have no interest in being king of the ashes, as it were. So yeah, I'd gladly trade my fortune for peace. And that's the world I want to live in. But so in many ways, it's just a hedge against what could happen, and I don't really know what that is.
Yeah. Hey, no, if all of us knew that, well, we'd probably be building bunkers now as we speak. But,
some people are.
Never underestimate the stupidity of mankind to do exactly the wrong thing at the wrong time, but never underestimate the ability of mankind to rescue itself at the last possible moment. So let's hope for the best here. Hey, just tell us again, find you at goldsilver.com. What else can you do for us?
Yeah, goldsilver.com and our Gold Silver YouTube channel. You can find everything there.
All right. Hey, it's always great having you on, Alan. Be well. Got a question for Alan or myself? Shoot me an email, kl@kerrylutz.com. And the link to Alan's site is in the show notes to this interview on financialsurvivalnetwork.com. While you're there, sign up for our newsletter. Got a lot of great info in there that will help you keep your money when it hits the fan, will help you make money when it hits the fan, and help you survive. Alan, appreciate it. We'll talk to you again soon.
Hey, thanks, Kerry. Talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, your solution to today's trying times. For the latest, go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.